Hi guys, I'm delighted to welcome you all to the Cambridge Union and to welcome our guest this afternoon, Eddie Izzard. We are the 21st stop on his tour of 31 cities in 31 days. So the format of the event will be, there'll be sort of a 20-minute talk from Eddie in which he debates against himself. And then we'll be taking questions from the floor, but also we'll be taking questions from Twitter. So if you're watching this on the live stream, or if you've had your hand up for ages and you just don't seem to be getting called on, use the hashtag standupforeurope, and we'll pause every couple of minutes to take some questions off of Twitter as well as questions in the room. Without any further ado, Eddie.
Thank you. So, Oxford University is a long way from here. And you're Cambridge. I almost came to Cambridge. I wanted to come to Cambridge. I wanted to be in the footlights. I wanted to be in your footlights. It has amazing heritage. And I thought that was, I actually wasn't going for any of the work. It was just the footlights, which is a bit bonkers. But you need to work quite hard to go to Cambridge. And I decided not to work in my A-levels. And because then I'd be cool, and then girls would say, hey, he's a rebel. And that would work because I wasn't playing. I went to a school that didn't play football. So, because I am an action transvestite, I'm confused. I should have said I was a transvestite. That would have got more interest that way. But no, it just didn't really work for me. So I wasn't working, wasn't doing any good, and I didn't get to Cambridge. But you guys students here and postgrads and everyone, yeah. Anyone just live here, not part of the university at all? Anyone? Oh, okay, cool. So good, and you're all registered, I'm sure, otherwise you wouldn't be here. I don't even need to ask that now, because I know people paying attention, otherwise you wouldn't, I'm not even going to ask it. But cool, we have this referendum up here, down here, all over our United Kingdom. And so, yes, 21 days. I ran a few marathons a while back, and this is slightly more tiring than running 27 marathons in 27 days, which is bonkers. I never thought it'd be like that. It's actually really hard because you just never quite know what you're going to do next. And say, oh, you've got to talk. Then you've got to, now answer that question. What lipstick. There was less lipstick in the running, so just trying to make sure your lipstick's in the right place. You know what I mean, guys. Anyone who wears lipstick. So thank you for coming along. And thank you for being interested in this, because I do say this a lot. People fought and died for the vote. And it's great that you people care. Some people will not vote, some people don't, and we've got to care. And no matter which way, I say to people, 23rd of June, get down there, vote Remain. But even people who are voting Leave, at least they get that. It's the 24th, I believe, by the way, for the Leave. Just, you don't need to go on the 23rd. Just, that's what I've heard. Allegedly, that's what I'm not sure about that scientifically, but anyway. No, but it's good, it is good, because I care about that. I think we should all care about that. I do like history. Churchill liked history. I think because within history, if you look at the repeats of humanity, if you look at what we keep doing well again and again and what we keep mucking up again and again, you can sort of read the future. And we could hopefully in the future head off the bad bits of humanity and keep all the good bits, because we do keep doing the same thing human beings did over and over again. And I want us, as I think most of us, as everyone in this room, I think wants, we want to head us towards a world where everyone has a fair chance. I'm sure. Even people on the Brexit side, they would also say that. I hope they would say that. Everyone has a fair chance. We've got to be heading that direction. This above all, you want a positive campaign? This is the essence of my campaign. We must be heading towards a world where everyone has a fair chance. We have to. And it's really difficult to do, but we've got to, so no one can talk about it. No leader of any country will talk about this, because you've got to talk about your country and everything, but someone's got to talk about it, because otherwise, if we're not heading towards a world where everyone has a fair chance, we're saying that we're happy for some people to be in despair, to live an entire life in despair. And if they live in despair, they are most likely to get radicalized. Despair is the fuel of terrorism. Hope is the fuel of civilization. Above all, my message is, let's keep putting hope into the world. Let's keep learning to live together and work together in some shape or form. That is essentially what I'm saying here. Forget all the number crunching and all the this and that and the fact that Brexit could be a recession. It's almost an anagram of recession. I put two S's into Brexit. It's Brexession. They almost designed it that way. I don't know why they came up with that. But anyway, but forget that and the immigrant. Forget all that. Just look at humanity. What do we do? Track it from the beginning. Tribalism, separate. The fighting, the killing. The Vikings came over. Mass murder, blood. Came back. Now they've got really good social services. Totally changed, but they were those Viking people. Now they could come on over. Yes, we were Vikings, but now, hello, how are you? Cup of tea. And that is the journey of humanity. We've got to be heading on that journey. We've got to. Anyway, so let me tell you why I'm passionate about this. Why the hell am I passionate, you might ask? Well, back in my late 20s, early 30s, and I am a lot older than most of you, so this was in the 90s, you know, and when some of you, if you're in your 20s, maybe you were just being born, and I went down to a Greek island, the low-cost flight, because remember the European Union. I know Greece has had a tough time recently. They've had 2 referendums, a really tough time, but they've both times voted to stay in the European Union. Interesting point. Anyway, went down there. Low-cost flight. Roaming charges were very high in those days. They've come down a lot since then because of the European Union, so that's nice, isn't it? Down to 0.00 pence next year. That's good. That's a good price, isn't it? Yeah. But that's a good and positive story about Europe. And I don't think you'll ever hear that in some of the newspapers. They tend to just say something else. So you never hear good news. We will not react to good news. This is a problem with human beings. People talk about negative campaigning. I think the very clever people on both sides say, no one seems to give a monkeys about positive campaigning. That's true. My campaign is probably, it goes out to younger people. Younger people grab hold of it. They come up to me and they say, thank you for putting forward a positive message. But I think the real guys, the strategy guys, they go, well, people go and watch horror films. They don't go and watch films about Sarah and Jim and Freddie and Caroline all having a good time drinking lemonade. We won't go and watch that. We want to watch stuff where hell happens. I don't know. It's a human being problem. I think if you go back in time and you track back, probably negative campaigning was all the way back to the Romans, and if you go forward in the future, I'm afraid it's going to track with us. I worry about us for this reason. Like, anyone remember the good news thing? It was about 10 years ago, so if you're too young, you might not know this. There was a time when someone said, can't we have good news on the television? It's all bad news. But no one gives a monkeys about good news. It really don't. Bad news, watch the television. Bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news. And now a cat was found on the roof of a church playing a banjo. And we brought him down, and he's now King of Sweden. And so you go, oh, he's King of Sweden. That's nice for cats. And we like, not quite so real as that. But you know what I mean? That's what happens. In fact, when I ran across South Africa, people started paying attention to the story. And I realized that what I was doing was giving them bad news about my kidneys blowing up. I'm about to die. I don't know what's going on with the things. Is it going to work? Am I hydrated enough? Can I make it? But within it was a little kernel of good news. And if I could get there by 27 marathons and 27 days, if I could get there at the end, and I got there within about 2 minutes before the television switched off, and then that was a good news at the end. That was the cat out of the tree story at the end. And all the rest of it was bad news. And that's the only way people actually paid attention to it. Interesting. A problem for us all. And have a look at it. And if I'm wrong, do tell me, because I just look at these things. I try and track everything. As a transgender guy who 31 years ago, I sat in my house and I thought, I need to come out. I need to be upfront about this, because I think that's more positive for me and for humanity than lying my entire life. I'm a straight. I'm a lesbian. I don't know why I was given these cards. As you all know, we were all given these genetic cards, and we have to play them how we may. Some of them are really tricky cards. And this one, I just said, I'm going to walk out the door. And I did in 1985. And I looked a mess. Lipstick over here. I was wearing leg warmers. And I walked out. Actually, one of the first days I walked out, there was a whole bunch of kids there, and it was at lunchtime from a school around the corner. They'd all gone to a corner shop. And I came out and went, oh, there's a lot of teenagers. Oh, no. And I thought, I can't go back in. They'll have seen me. Oh, don't look like a victim, all right? And then I just kind of walked through all these teenagers who were going like this. Martian, they were going. And I thought they were going to shout loads of things. You know how teenagers can be. But they actually said to me, look, he's wearing leg warmers. I don't know. Fortune favors the brave, so I struck it out. And all I got was the anti-leg warmer line. What is even? And I managed to get through it. Anyway, and that's why we should remain in Europe. Now, so I've just found that, politics gets very dry. There is humor in my speech, but I'm trying to put forward sensible, passionate things, and then there will be a bit of humor when I just shove it in somewhere. But anyway, so this is my story. So I went down to Greece. I went to an island, Greek islands. There was a ship there that says, come out, we'll sail around the Greek islands. 100 people on the ship, quite a big ship. Goes out, the guy stops the engine, says, I have stopped the engines. You may now jump overboard and swim around. He was more Russian than Greek. But we weren't ready for it. We weren't told this, so we're all in sort of tops and shirts, summer gear. And he says, jump in the water. And he says, it's warm water, it's volcanic. And he was still Russian. And so somebody jumped overboard, and then suddenly everyone's going, oh, I'm going as well. So everyone's just swimming around in the water. And they're start shouting, hey, Pierre, no, viens ici, non, viens. And then Hans, was machst du da? Da. And someone in Italian, insalati di spinaci, he said, which is spinach salad. And I don't know much Italian, so. But you know what I mean. They were shouting, because in a restaurant, you won't hear the little burble of different accents necessarily, but everyone's shouting because they're having fun, and it was an epiphany moment was happening, or whatever that is. But Epiphany was there, and she was having a good time. And so I suddenly thought, this is really good. I'm swimming around going, this is great. I like this. And I thought as well, with my historical mind going on, that if I went back to the 30s, late 30s, that holiday could well have happened there as well. People there, swimming aboard, and then everyone would have gone home, World War II, and then the killing started again. Because we have, in Europe, done this amazing thing, not amazing, and unfortunately bad thing. Alexander the Great to World War II, 2,500 years of murder. That's what we've done. We did it. We made brilliant things in Europe. Watch Time Team. Remember Time Team? They dig it up. Look, that's pretty good. It looked pretty not so good, and then they brush it up and go, ooh, it looks really nice now. And that comes from over there. This comes from over there, from what was now Germany, and it was traded all over. And so we obviously made beautiful things, and then we'd stop every 50 years and say, we haven't killed anyone. Let's kill the guys in the blue hats. And that would go, and then kill the guys in the yellow hats. And it went on and on and on. And at the end of World War II, the European Union, which was set up initially as the coal and steel agreements, and then the EC, and then it was set up, designed to make peace. So they were all working together, living together, working together in some shape or form, and that is the foundation of it. This is why I say, you can go into number crunching, whatever the things, and is it perfect? No, and too much democracy and whatever, and how do we get more democracy? But running and hiding from it doesn't make more peace happen. It just makes peace start to unravel. Putting up a wall, doing nationalism, saying it's us and no to you, that is not the journey of humanity. We have got to keep going forwards and upwards rather than backwards and down. That's what I feel. So I was there. I was swimming around, all this stuff was happening. I thought, this is great. All these young Europeans here, I'm going to fight for this, I thought. Not pick up a gun and fight for it, but I'm just going to activate. Well, I'm going to do something. I'll do something. So I came back to Britain, and I did nothing. One of those things that you do, and I couldn't think what to do. What do? You go down the street with a flag? Do you stop people with a clipboard? It's quite tricky. If you are positive about other people, it's quite tricky to work out what you do. Just say hello, be nice, a cup of tea, be polite to people. I couldn't think of anything that would actually make a statement. And then I was a stand-up comedian. I'd already started by that time. I was continuing on my career. I was asked if I wanted to do a gig in Paris. And I said, in French? And I said, no, in English. 200,000 English speakers in Paris. 300,000 French speakers in London. Whoa, okay. 2 million of our citizens live all across the European Union. Okay, so I thought, okay, I'll go. I'd like to go to Paris, get paid and do a gig. Great. I'm doing it in English. And as I was doing it, I thought, it came to me, no, this is what I should do this in French. I'm in France, why not do it in French? So that's what I decided to do. That was my way of showing, being positive, coming up with an idea, not just sitting on my backside, not waiting for a grant. I'm just going out there, doing something, putting my money where my mouth is, trying to do leadership from within and say, positive vision of the world, now here we go. This is what I do. So 1997, I went on stage, La Flèche d'Or, the Golden Arrow. I stood on stage. It was filmed. You can see it online. It's 5 to 8 minutes. It's the most awful gig you've ever seen in the world. If you want to see someone sweating and scared out of their mind with a huge script and going, what is the word to hold in French? Tenir, thank you. Je tiens. Oh, it's awful. It really was awful. And afterwards, they did a quick vox pop. You were here in the audience. What did you think? And they went, it was bad. It was that's all they said. It was awful. But that was 1997. Last year, I toured France, 11 cities of France, 5,200 people. all in the French language. Pretty beautiful. I played in Marseille, where, as we know last night, all this bloody hell is going on. But I played there in French, as a British guy playing in French. I'm trying to put something positive in. I want to get away from that kind of the fighting, the separation, the Russians who are the French who are I don't, it's surely we've got to head forward. So I did that. And that was 200 years after the Battle of Waterloo. And I was there. It was 1815 to 2015. And so back in 1815, Napoleon could have been there saying, well, Duke of Wellington, you have won this battle, but in 200 years, a transvestite, he will tour all over France. And he will talk about squirrels with guns, you know, and do weird stuff. He'll wear a bit more makeup than usual, but it will be a positive thing. No matter if the next year there's a bit of fighting and that. So, you know, we can do this. We can head forwards and upwards. That's why I just don't think the Brexit arguments, if you're coming out, if you think of the logical extension of where that goes, you pull out, you put up a wall, okay, then Scotland could well peel off, won't it? Well, you know, Nicola Sturgeon, the SNP, you want to go up there and campaign? I did go up there and campaign. They're obviously very wind in their sails, so they're going to keep pushing for that. And if they peel off, then okay, so it's just England, Wales, I don't know, it's a federal city. It can't be the United Kingdom anymore. That would be a joke of a name. So that's not going to work. And then what is the next move that you do, Nigel Farage? I don't know. You maybe Northern England and Southern England. There's no world vision in there. It's just a tiny pull-apart little Englander view. We've got to be going forwards. We've just got to. We've got to make it work. We're the first continent to ever try and do this. In the history of eternity, no continent has ever tried this. The American model is completely different. That's rolling over lands where people were already living, but they had no system of ownership. And for whatever reason, that happened, and then it became the States. And there's some very good people in the States. And Hillary Clinton hopefully will get in, and Donald Trump, no. He's to the right of Attila the Hun. And Attila the Hun's going, Donald, what's going on, man? It's crazy. I mean, I thought I was right out here, but you're over there. Have you met Marine Le Pen? She's the head of the National Front of France. You two get on, great. Because those are the two on the Brexit side. They talk about the financial, talk about negative campaigning. You say there's going to be a recession if come out of the European Union. Well, the positive story is there's not going to be one if you stay in. So there's the positive campaign. We'll actually have a healthier economy if we stay in the European Union. But the governor of the Bank of England says there could be a recession if you pull out. It's the governor of the Bank of England, who wasn't there before. They talk about the ERM. This is Mark Carney, a Canadian man who's come in, and he says that. It's his job to say it. And the head of the CBI, Director General of the CBI, Confederation of British Industry, backs them up on that, along with the Institute for Fiscal Studies, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, the World Trade Organization, the World Bank, the IMF, all of the Barack Obama says it, Hillary Clinton, and then Donald on the other side going, it's a fantastic idea, and all Muslims should leave America, which is just so extreme. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so I'm trying to argue for this positive thing. I'm trying to do things in a positive way. That's what I believe. For young people, it is, I don't know if you know the figures, but it's 75% of people up to the age of 35 are positive about Europe. Interesting, isn't it? Young people, I think if you're a young person, you look at your life and say, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. I'm not quite sure what decisions I'm going to make. I'm not quite sure what I think about everything. But having the opportunity to have low-cost flights to Europe, I think I'd like that. rather than having less flights and more expensive. 0 roaming charges from next year, that's pretty good, rather than higher roaming charges. Free healthcare all the way across. It's a no-brainer, as the Americans say. Just grab it, go hold of it, vote for it. It's right there. Visas, having to get visas, going headline to stagnate. Oh, you've got to get our visa set up. That would be a pain in the back. So work papers if you want to go and work somewhere. The Erasmus scheme, so young people from low-income backgrounds could be students all the way around European Union. All these fantastic things. It's £1 million comes in from the European Union into universities in Britain. So much positive things for young people just to grab immediately. Otherwise, they'll all start to drift off. We'll have to pull out. We don't even know what economic model we're going to do. They're not even arguing the economic argument. The Brexit side have stopped arguing. They're just going immigration, immigration. And I know this is worrying for some people. This causes concerns for some people. We've got to not forget, though, in 2008, there was a capitalist financial recession. It was caused by capitalism run amok. The subprime market, it's all in documentation. You all know this. And then there was debts repackaged. It all blew up in the whole of the financial economy for the world. And so the government, the Tory government said austerity is the best way forward. That is what is causing the majority of the problems. This is it, not immigration and the European Union. It comes from an austerity program which is deemed by the Tory government to be the best way forward. And we need more investment in houses and jobs and social services coming from our government. They feel that's going to happen in the long run, but we will be stronger in the European Union rather than pulling out. And just blaming immigration. We know immigration, that when times are good, we say, come on in. Where are the economic migrants? Can you come in and do these jobs we won't do? We keep doing this. It goes back through the history of every country in the world. Come in, come in, come in, as soon as the times are good. As soon as the times go bad, can you get out, please? What are you doing in here? You go, well, you just told us to come. Well, no, the times have changed. Come on. As soon as it get back, can you come back in again? It's a merry-go-round. It goes on and on and on. But at the moment, it's open season in the immigration world that people can come up with any figures. They will say to you, the entire population of Turkey is going to come tomorrow, live in your house, marry your brother, your sister, your mother, your uncle, drive your car around, and do all your jobs and then jobs of the next-door neighbors. And people will repeat it. They say, yes, I've just read it. The entire population is coming on Tuesday. You can make stuff up. You can go online and troll. You can scream. It's licensed for people to go out and just make figures up. The real figures are 20 billion pounds was put in taxes from economic migrants, from EU migrants from 2001 to 2011. That's 20 billion pounds. They put more money in than they take out. Sarah Wollaston was the chair of the Health Select Committee. She's left the Brexit campaign. She was a GP. She's now an MP. She said they are lying about the figures. They're making the figures up, and she is going to vote Remain when it comes around because she says that this is not true. She says you're more likely to be served on in the NHS by someone from the European Union who's a doctor or a nurse or a care worker than to have someone ahead of you in the queue. That's the thing, and she's from within it, and she's a Tory, and she's a Eurosceptic as well. There are a number of Eurosceptics who are on the Remain side. It is just better for the country. Security. Theresa May, Home Secretary, she says, for the security of the country, prevention against crime, prevention against terrorism, it is in the country's interest to remain in the European Union. And just on a logic scale, forget any of the politics, just think about logic. 28 countries having one organization talking to all 28 countries has got to be better than us pulling out and doing separate agreements with you. You're going to talk to us, and can you talk to them and tell them that we'd like to know what's happening? And that's not logical, quite simply on pure logic. So there's all these arguments going around. People used to say there's not enough information. I say there's too much information. People, yourselves, interested people, are going, wow, that's a lot of number crunching and figures and facts. Above all, humanity. We head forwards and upwards. This world has been going, if you talk about civilization, it's not that long. 5,000, 2,000 years, maybe 3,000 years. Trying to go forward. Look at the history of it. It works much better if we go forward. But our arguments are difficult because we say, I'm patriotic about British, but I'm also very happy to be linked and working with and talking to other people. So that's why I'm performing in German, that's why I'm performing in English. And D-Day, the 72nd anniversary, last Monday, I was there in Normandy, and I performed in French and German and English, the three languages that the Battle of Normandy was fought in. It was a salute to people who fell in those days, people who fought for democracy and freedom in World War II, and since World War II, to bring the Germans in as well. They've tried to be a very positive country since 1945. So I did that there. And it's a salute to 72 years of peace. 72 years, that's pretty good. So if you're not sure, if you get in there and you're voting, just think of all of us. Just think of if we're not heading towards an entire world where everyone has a fair chance, we're not going to make it. The whole world is not going to make it. This century is the key century. We have to get it sorted out in this century, everyone having a fair chance. Because despair is the fuel of terrorism. Hope is the fuel of civilization. Let us keep putting hope into the world. Vote Remain on the 23rd of June.
Before we start taking questions from the floor, can I jump in with a question from Twitter?
Yeah.
Ja Atway asks, will Brexit help us take back control? This seems the central motivation for Friends.
Central motivation for Brexit people?
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's a package. We sign up for the European Union for a package. Free movement of people is built into it. If we pull out and become like Norway, we still have to have free movement of people. They have to agree free movement of people. And it gets us access to 500 million people. It makes our economy stronger. People say, well, there's not enough democracy in the European Union. The MEPs are elected. So there is democracy. And they say, well, there's the commissioners. Well, I say House of Lords. Is it 1911 when the Liberal Party said, let's change the House of Lords? And it still hasn't been changed. Thank you, one person. You know, there's our UK government, European Union isn't perfect. There's too much red tape and there's too much bureaucracy. I absolutely agree. We have to, but to change it, we have to be inside it to change it. The Prime Minister of Norway says that, who is not in the European Union. They can't come up with a model of what to do. Are we going to be Albania? Michael Gove said, we'll be Albania. Prime Minister of Albania said, well, we want to join the European Union. So, you know, it's the control thing. It's 87% of our laws. 87. Let's get these figures very clear. 87% of laws are decided by us in the UK government. 13%, only that are decided in the European Union by all 28 countries going and agreeing things on trading. What they're doing in Brussels, because you do hear Brussels tells us to do this. No, we go to Brussels and some orders are made between instructions are made between 28 countries to tell everyone that's how we're going to do it. So it's not the city of Brussels that it sounds like, oh, just the city of Brussels tells it. And if you listen to American politics, they say, Washington tells us this. Well, they all go to Washington and they decide it there. So that's how that works. It's something we sign up for. It makes our economy stronger. If we pull out, there will be a recession. They're not even arguing. The Brexit recession is most likely going to happen. It's going to be tough. Sarah Wollaston said pull out. She's pulled out of she's exited the Brexit campaign because she thinks it's going to be a real tough knock for the NHS. If you care about the NHS, if you care about people, we've got to be heading forwards. We have 87% control on our laws. The other 13% are decided amongst everyone. So I think that is not the right way to go. I just think staying in, heading forwards for humanity. If we're going backwards, then what is the end point for humanity? It surely is back into where we were, where you just get one person coming along and whipping up the hatred. That's what they did back in the 30s. Milosevic came along in former Yugoslavia. He whipped it up again. One charismatic person whipping up negative feelings. I just don't think that's the way forward. We've got to keep putting our hands, especially with this stuff now kicking up off in the football. Where's that going to tip? You want to say, okay, that's not what we're about. We're not about that. There was a football game. I thought England was going to win. I wanted England to win. Then Russia got a goal back. Well, they played the football and they got the goal back. So it was a draw. But do we have to fight in the streets? Do we have to have that? Is it this fault? Is it whose fault? I thought we got beyond that. I just want to go forwards and upwards rather than backwards and down to that question. Okay. If you want to ask a question, put your hand up. And yes, there's a question here. And there's one here. Do we have microphones?
Yeah, someone will come with a mic.
Yep, just hand it. When I point, and if someone can hand it. Anyone got a microphone? Microphone? Just there.
If you could say your name and college if you have one.
If you could just hand the microphone.
Yeah.
Then we can do them quick, you see. I like to load them up. How many have we got? Three in total? No, we got 2. We got 2 microphones. Okay, so I just load up 2 at a time.
2 at the back as well, actually.
Oh, there's 2 at the back. Any other people want questions? Anyone else? Oh, there's 2 here. So if you'd like to just come and give the microphones here. Let's do this. Well, then we'll do bum, 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 and then we'll do it 4 at a time. It's a new system that someone came up with. Yeah, yes. This is like ball boys and boy girls. Sorry, microphone people. Go.
You brought up, Asher Bomer from Gonville and Keys College. You brought up Donald Trump and the far right in America and the rise of nationalism. And it seems to me, in my potentially poorly informed opinion, that there has been a rise in support for far-right, neo-Nazi, ultra-right parties in Europe over the past few years. Do you see this as something that's cyclical and somewhat inevitable as a part of a sway? So you mentioned, there's Waterloo, and now it comes to you performing, and now we've got the far-right building up. Is that a cycle that's inevitable, or are there specific things that trigger that we might be able to overcome?
Economic crisis. I think absolutely. I think economic crisis. Whenever the economic crisis, go back 29 crash. If you go through the Weimar Republic, it was actually getting better. Things were coming together. Then 29 crash. Boom. Unemployment in Germany 1 million, 2 million, 6 million very quickly. What do we do? Hitler, you want to have a go? He comes in. Boom. Enabling Act. Negative down, and then it turned into all that hell. And he kidnapped a country. Germany, since then, has tried to be very positive. Hitler said democracy can't work. Well, Germany's doing pretty good with it. So, but it's the cyclical nature of the economic crisis. I would love to know, can we ever stop what happened in the subprime market ever happening again? The Glass-Steagall Act was repealed, as you'll probably know. That, you don't know, okay, I'm going off. off-piste here. But that was basically, I go to
We got Dodd-Frank back.
Sorry?
We did get Dodd-Frank to replace chunks of it.
Right. Well, this is what I mean. You wonder if the whole thing could go in, it would be great. But I believe how it went was Margaret Thatcher said, "I'm going to deregulate the financial industries in London," and then in Manhattan, New York said, "It's deregulated there, and we have the Glass-Steagall Act, which we're just going to move to here. We're just money guys. We don't need it." So they were going to move lock, stock, and barrel to London, and so I think Bill Clinton felt obliged to take down Glass-Steagall, and that's what happened. And then you start having the crashes again. I think we have to have chunks of it or all of it or whatever it going back in to stop it ever happening. Because whenever those financial crises happen, it's the rich, they've already saved their money, they've already got it worked out, they've all got their bonuses up front, and then the people paying, the lower income people of the world have to pay off with the austerity programs that hit people who didn't do anything in the first place. And we have to stop that. We have to stop, because when that happens, I can see people start getting really angry and frustrated, and where's my job gone? And then they start moving more out to the extremes. And that's what's happened. Just look at history. Churchill always looked through history, because you could just see how it's going. He said that a country that gets up and fights, this is a different situation, but he said a country that gets up and fights in World War II, if they fight against Hitler, then they'll always come back because they put up a good stand. And this is what he said from his experience looking back through history. We can learn from history. We've got to try and stop these crashes happening. Do they have to happen? I don't know. Maybe they have to happen for the rest of time. It's going to be really difficult. But if you track humanity, we do get there. If you ever get really depressed, go back to the ancient Egyptians, go forwards, track it forward. And Hitler, human rights go right down, they come back up again, and we keep heading forwards. I mean, I'm transgender. I'm standing here. You should all be just saying, boo, boo, boo. You're wearing lipstick. Get out of here. We hate you. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to stand here. Now I can. And that's interesting, because all LGBT people have fought for this. But is it last night in Florida? Murder happens again? Dear God, So we keep going forwards, and then there will be atrocities going backwards, and there will be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Can we go 3 steps forward, 1 step back? But I do worry about it. It's an interesting thing. But it seems that everyone floats out to the extreme right, sometimes the extreme left, but more the extreme right these days, whenever that happens, and it comes from the economic crisis. It's the economy. I mean, Bill Clinton said it's the economy is stupid. It's always about the economy. Wars are all fought about the economy. It's always about everyone needs to be having a decent time in life. That's what everyone wants. Live and let live. I think 98% of the world, maybe 99% of the world are live and let live. That's where we've got to head to. That was first question. Second question.
What do you think is the best way to make young people care about politics and go out and seize their vote, use their vote to make a difference in the future?
In this EU referendum? Well, I think one of the brilliant things about the EU referendum and the Scottish referendum is that really this matters a lot more to young people. Right away, just your flights, your roaming charges, your e-hit card, your health insurance card across Europe, the idea of getting visas, even if you're just going ahead and stagnate, even if you don't really be bothered, but you want to go on holiday, don't you? Right there, that is going to make a number of young people, and hopefully they're already registered and they're going to vote, say, this seems like a good thing. We've already got it. Why throw it away? I think in a general election, I think it is much harder. I think young people, because I've been an activist since 2008, and when I went out, and it's really hard to do this, but if you ever want to get into politics, doing this is really tricky, because I should get really scared at some point, and I should block up, and in my first speeches, I did do that. I thought, the words run out, and you start just saying things and the wrong things, and you get really scared. So, where am I going with that point? Oh, yes, so to get people to actually talk about politics, to actually talk openly, it's really quite tricky because the ideas are so complicated. And so in general elections, I think a lot of young people, oh, yes, I was talking to young people, that's it. And I went out, at university. I interrupted myself too much. And I was doing, there's certain scripted lines. They say, this is a line, this is a positive line you can say about what we're going to do for nurses and things. And so you would deliver these lines. I found with young people, they would just start drifting off and going, because it didn't really apply to them. And I realized that what young people want is a positive vision of the future. They want, if you're young, if you're in your 20s, things aren't really going to really kick in until your 30s, your mid-30s, and then, okay, I've got a decent job, I know what I'm doing, or I've started a business, or I know how these things work, and that's when I think people start to really grab life. But in your 20s, I think they want someone to come forward and say, I've worked out a way that we can go. And I think it's that way. That's what I'm trying to tell people. I have looked at it. I've been out there living life. I am going into politics. I am going to try and get elected in 2020. But right now, I'm doing this, and I've been positive about Europe. I'm not wishy-washy on this. I haven't been, oh, I'm for, I'm there. I've always been this way. I've always saying, this is the way forward. And I've been out, and I've played 28 countries with my show. I've done it in 4 languages now, just started on Spanish. Everyone else in the world is pretty similar to us. They want to have peace and democracy and a decent life and get ahead, and they've got a bit of an ego on them maybe, and can I be better than you? And you want your tennis player to win. You want Andy Murray to win in the French Open, and we want England. Oh, God, it's a 1-1 draw, but well done to the Russians for fighting back, you know. And I you know, it's difficult, but I don't know how we get young people really enthused about general elections, because real politics is as complicated as it seems. It seems complicated. It is actually very complicated. Extremist politics is much simpler. It's simplistic politics. Do one thing, leave European Union, and everything will be fine. Well, remember, we weren't in the European Union before, and it wasn't all fine. So how's that going to quite work? Surely aren't we just going to go back exactly to that point? And does that make the difference? You know, it's the simplistic politics, one-stop politics. Do one thing, and everything will be fine. And it never works. Real politics is as complicated as it seems, but what politicians have to do is to look at everything and try and find a route forward, a clear route forward. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say, I've looked at it all. That is the route forward. The concrete is it makes peace. We build on that. Is there enough democracy? Well, can we change that? Can we make that better? How do we do that? Let's go forwards and upwards rather than backwards and down. Next question. There was someone. Yes.
So I just have another question from Twitter.
Yes.
And it says, from a students and university perspective, how will it benefit us in the future to remain in the EU?
Well, I've tried to cover it. I will recover on that. For students in university, Erasmus scheme, which is a wonderful scheme. People from low-income backgrounds go all around the European Union. They could be a student anywhere. That's a great thing. Just on your low-cost flights, somebody said, oh, no, they won't go. Well, the chief executive of EasyJet and Ryanair said less flights and more expensive. So that's not a good thing for people who are students. Your roaming charge is 0.0 pence. I didn't even know this, and I'm positive enough. Next year, 2017, it goes down to no extra roaming charges. Whatever you're paying here, all across the 28 countries, same deal. E-hit card, you know, you're going over, a bit of a dance, you fall over, have a bit drunk, I don't know, whatever. You got yourself, get into a fight in Marseille. All we go, yeah, e-hit card. I don't know how it happened, mate. Anyway, so this is a good thing that you can, well, not that thing, but the medical thing is good. And that's there right now. £1 million comes in to universities. We want that. Research, it's really good for Stephen Hawking and all 150 signatories to the Royal Academy said, let's stay in. There's, for the arts, for culture, for investment, for linking up with other people. The French are now performing in English. The English performing in French. The Germans are performing in English. Henning Venn. Anyone heard of Henning Venn? Henning Venn, who would have thought? When we grew up, remember, you were born, I don't know if you remember this day, you get smacked on the bottom apparently, and the next thing they say is, the Germans have no sense of humor. That's the second thing. Does anyone remember this? It wasn't quite like that, but you just, no, they have no, it's a scientific fact. And I thought, I didn't think it could. So I went over there and played, and Henning was already playing here. And he's a tall, gangly German guy who played for, he came to work for Wycombe Wanderers as their marketing guy, as a marketing guy. And he said, I think I can do this comedy. I think I'll go and do it. So he went and did it. I think that's beautiful. Whereas before, you'd have to get work papers, and then we'd have to check him and say, no, not in German, you're not allowed to do that. It's good that we're moving forward. So all these things, just for young people, the traveling, the roaming, all the opportunities that are right there. And if you're a young person, you probably don't know what you want to do in life, but the opportunities there, don't close the opportunities up. Make that vote and keep those opportunities open. Yes?
I'd firstly like to apologise because it's not so much a question as more of a question to Brexiteers. Okay. So I've heard the case used that we'll be better off because of trade tariffs. So we import a lot more goods than we export to Europe. So goods will be coming into this country, and we'll put some levies on there, and we'll make a bit of money, and that will prop up our economy. As somebody who runs my own business, okay, I'd like to address a small mathematical error, and Mr. Gove and those other Brexiteers have used this quite a lot, that my supplier for my business is based in Finland, okay? Do you think they're going to take that hit when the tariffs come in? Do you think they're just going to go, okay, we want things to be sold in the UK, we're going to take the hit, we'll hit that? No, that's going to hit me as a distributor. And do you think I'm going to take that hit? Do you think my business is going to go, okay, well, it's fine, you know, British people, they deserve cheap goods, well, you're going to take the hit? No, that's going to get passed straight on to us, the consumer. So every single one of us here, okay, as soon as we leave the European Union, everything we buy is going to get more expensive that comes from EU. Everything we buy. And as I said, we import so much more than we export. So my question is, to the Brexiteers, who do you think is going to pay? Who do they think is going to pay?
I don't know any Brexiters, so there we go. But I know there are ones. Yes, well, all the world's experts in the world just line up and say, don't go, bad idea, financial crisis, tough times, financial crisis, or recession. Choosing any of them just doesn't sound, it's a leap in the dark at best. There is no model for what they're going to do. And I just don't think we should vote yes to a leap in the dark and no to humanity. So yes to humanity, and let's keep pushing and trying. It isn't perfect. I know the European Union isn't perfect, but the UK government isn't perfect. So, okay, another 4 questions. There's a question there. Can we possibly? So I'm going to do one at the back, the gentleman at the back. I'm going to do the woman here at the front, this gentleman here, and a woman there at the back. There, so right at the back there. Keep your hands up till you've got the microphone in your hand.
While we're
So
running,
there's that gentleman there who's got, yes, with the grey top on. We should have, did you get a microphone? Could you hold your hands up in the air if you've got a microphone? If you've got a microphone, hold your hand in the air. If you've got a microphone, hold your hand. 1, 2, 2 with microphone, 3 with microphones. We've got 4 microphones, have we? Oh,
Yeah.
4. Okay, sorry. Well, I'll go to you definitely in the next round coming up. So you start.
So Alice Anders from John's. You've sort of touched on the complacency that we see in politics and how to engage young voters. So the referendum being a very good option to actually engage people because it's something that is so important to all of us. But how do we then proceed to actually implement the change later on after the referendum? Because obviously after the referendum, how do we keep the momentum?
With young people, keeping them engaged?
With young people or
Yeah.
generally with the population? Because
I don't know. I think there is a problem. I pushed for an AV vote, even though I was on the same side as Nigel Farage, and he would say, well, there'll be more people voting for more extreme parties. I just thought that might be a fair way of getting more views out there and smaller parties. I didn't quite know what it would do to the voting system in the UK, but I just thought I would push for that. I'm not sure. I don't really have the answer. I think referendums, the Scottish referendum, young people were really engaged in that because they felt there would be a sudden change. I think in general elections, people say, we'll change the government or we'll vote in the government, but the change won't really happen. It won't be much. It won't really affect us. How you get people, I don't know. It is so complicated. Real politics is that complicated. Wars are easy because things change very quickly. It's just whoever's got the biggest guns and does the most murder. And that's why war is politics when it's gone wrong. I don't know. I don't have the answer. Do you have the answer? Do you have any answers?
I wish I had.
Where are you from?
I'm born German, but have been all over.
All right, yeah. I don't know. In Germany, are kids politicized in Germany, or are they kind of like us and a bit kind of on the back foot?
I mean, I went to school in Austria for most of my schooling, and most people don't really care. We had political education combined with history, but that mostly ended up in quizzes. Oh, what happened in this country on that date?
Yeah.
So there's no general comprehension of politics, which then is reflected in the elections that just happened.
In Austria, the one with extreme right
Yeah.
almost got in as president, yeah.
There is no way that it would end in that result if people actually knew what was going on and if they actually understood the system. And I think it's the same thing, like there's a lot of Euroscepticism in Austria as well. And I think all of that is related back to the fact that no one actually cares and isn't really pushed into caring because the school system doesn't support that. So I think that one of the answers would probably be to build from the ground up to actually have more political teaching and to sort of engage people through education rather than trying to press it onto them from outside.
I'm not sure if, I think teaching is great, but I'm not sure if that galvanizes them. It's when people start talking about it endlessly, and I mean, in Scotland they had a flag. They had a yes/no thing, which was very. I was up there because I went to Scotland, and some Scottish nationalists really disliked me for doing that, but I said to them a very clear message, which was 80% of the rest of the UK say, please don't go. Just that. That was all I was saying. But I still got pushed back on a lot for that. But they had their flag, the saltire, and yes, became patriotic. And no, they turned into, well, you're negative on the country. So it all became very inflammatory and difficult, even though it went against them in the end. And then the voting patterns have changed. So I don't know how, what the answer is. It's real democracy is, sorry, yes, you were going to say something.
And I mean, I could possibly use myself as an example. I didn't really care about politics before the whole referendum started. So, like, I mean, I always try to keep up with it, but it's quite hard to keep up with it when you don't have the base information, I think, is what I'm trying to
But
bring
the
across.
information, isn't it there on the internet? Because I think a lot of information is put out. Like, the BBC will always have a breakdown on everything, but it's
No,
just...
no, it is, but people don't read it because,
Yes.
like, you don't, like, I found myself not wanting to read it in detail because, well, I didn't really have a connection to it, whereas now I've gone through the facts so many times that now I can actually talk about it, I can debate about it.
Yes.
And that's where I think the engagement comes from for me personally.
Yeah.
And I mean, I am very academically interested, so that is a type of personality that obviously is not representative of the entire population. But I think it is one way that would have reached me personally more.
Okay. I'm going to stop you there because I just want other people to get in. But yes, it is a problem. These are the problems. Why do we just only react to negative things? What will keep people engaged with it? I'm not sure if we are, because it's that complicated that it gets very dry. It gets very dry meetings. You know, you're going to sit there and talk about things. X, is it X or X, Y, or X, Z? Anyway, so I don't have the answer yet. I'm trying to get answers. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Hugh from Trinity.
Hi.
As I think you referred to earlier, there seems to me that the Brexit campaign, certainly where the economy is concerned, their ideas of what follows a Leave campaign is a bit nebulous. What would you do if the nation voted to leave on the 23rd? How would that change your campaigning, and how would you keep people interested?
Well, my campaigning won't... I actually know that this is the best way. Heading forwards, positive for humanity. I can argue a lot of other different things, and we could number crunch and whatever, but I'm quite sure, having lived my life, being as old as I am very old, and having fought the fights that I've fought, and having been a street performer at Covent Garden, now playing Hollywood Bowl, that if we're not heading towards a world where everyone has a fair chance, just humanity, forget it for humanity. We've got to do this. We've got to make this work. So, but you asked me what happens if we go to a Brexit. I don't work that way. When I was running my marathons, the 27 recently, on day 5 I went to hospital. I don't know if you know this, but they said, you've got to take a day off. My doctor friend that I've known since I was 13, Dr. Gary, he said, look, the blood work says that your kidneys are about to pack up. We need to check this, because that's not a good sign, because if kidneys back up, you're dead. So hospital day 5, then at the end of it, they checked out and said, no, actually, it's a different reading that's coming out. That wasn't right, so you can. So basically, I had to line my head up so much going forwards. To get marathon after marathon going, you have to go like this, with your mind, everything shooting forwards. And then day 5, I was essentially going, I might be going home tomorrow. And then at the end of day 5, I said, no, you're going forward. So I changed my mind to the forwards. And then day 6, it also happened again. They pulled me out of the marathon. They put me into a different hospital. And so I thought, oh, no, God, I'm still going home. And then at the end of day 6, this kidney expert said, no, your kidneys are all right. It's your hydration is the problem. So then we were back on. So all I'm saying is that it's very difficult to deal with you. I'm doing something, I'm not doing something, I'm doing something, I'm not doing. So I don't actually work in that way. I'm not sitting here considering the Brexit ideas. I'm just powering forward. But whatever happens in life, I will keep powering forward. I will keep going for the positive message. I will keep trying to say we need an entire world where everyone has a fair chance, because I've worked it out. Despair is the fuel of terrorism. You can just see someone standing there, and if they're despairing, if their daughter died and their cousin died, and they got a degree, but they're just selling things from a cart, and then someone says, come with us, and we can radicalize you, and we'll strap bombs to you, and you can see them thinking about it, thinking, bugger, I'm going to go do that. But if they have the chance of hope and saying, no, we're trying something here, it's difficult, but we've got democracy going together, it's not perfect, we're trying to get it together, they might choose hope. So those are the choices in life. We've got to be putting hope in. So no matter what happens, I know that this is the right way forward. I'm not maybe sure. I think what people in the world want to know is, has anyone thought about it enough? I've thought about it a lot, and that is the way forward. So that's how I approach that one. which is not a perfect answer to you, but I'm going to keep heading forwards. Now, there was a second one here. Yes, go for it.
I think in a way that I've not seen in a lot of the other elections, there's been a huge split between young and old in terms of staying in and Brexit. And other than the immigration debate and some mild levels of xenophobia that seem to have come to the fore, do you think that there are solid reasons other than immigration why there is this huge split between young and old? And my second question would be that as much as there's an issue with engaging younger voters, I found certainly with my parents' generation, it's actually very difficult to engage them in any kind of argument for staying in the EU, because their opinion is very much cut and dry, and they think that from experience they're absolutely for Brexit. So have you found anything that's useful for actually engaging older voters in more of a debate over why the EU might be beneficial for them?
I find it's interesting. This is the figure. So, 75, 80% of people up to the age of 35 are positive. And it's interesting because they won't have had, in my previous experience, because younger people say, well, I was just at school and so I wasn't really interacting with much. And it seems very logical for young people. They just go, I don't know quite what to do. There's opportunities. Should I just block them off? Or should I just keep them open? It just seems so, why not try it? Why not try and saying hello? I think for older people, I'm curious, I don't know. I think psychologists, and I'm surprised there haven't been papers out there saying this is why older generations tend to be more Eurosceptic. But I think it might be back, because I know as I'm an older person, I look back on my life and I tend to filter out the bad things of my life. And I remember the good things, like school days. I remember school days, university, yes. But in fact, there were times I was going, no. But I've dropped those all away, just kept the good bits. And maybe that's what happens. Older people look back on their lives and remember a time before that was better. Or that's what they feel because they've taken out all the other feelings out of it. So I don't know how it quite works. And I'm not sure quite what the argument is to say that if people are locked in, those are not the people I'm particularly talking to. I'm talking to people who are open-minded and saying, I'm not sure. The don't knows. There's still about 10, 60% don't knows. And that's when I just say it's what human beings do. We gradually learn to come together in some shape. It's okay.
I think it's more worrying in the sense that older voters are more likely to actually turn up and vote.
I know.
And it would be really great if there were a way of engaging them in some kind of debate over.
I think it's more engage all the young people, just make sure that everyone's there. Go on Facebook. Now, it does feel that the Leave people, there are some people of the Leave campaign, and they're very negative, online being very negative, trolling stuff. I put up something, and I just thought, hey, there's a lot of negative coming on this. That's because people who are positive, we don't go and scream negative things online. We just don't do that. We just say, hi, how are you, and what are you doing? And I respect your opinion, but I'm not going to do that negative stuff. But it seems that people are the other type. I'm not saying all of them, but they love to get online and put a lot of hatred down. And so that's just something. But I would say to all young people, get up there, hold up something saying, stand up for Europe, saying I'm remaining in. Be positive, wear your badges, and get out there and try and get all young people who care to vote. Some people might be lost causes, but talk to your grandparents and particularly grandparents. They say, well, it's if you're 20, if the Queen's 90, you're going to live to those 90 years, maybe 100 years, 110. Healthcare will be even better in 50 years' time. So you're going to have such a long life. And what about your future? So phone a granny, phone a granddad, and try and persuade them. I'm not sure quite what you say, but this is for me. It's my life too. So maybe they'll consider, and that's what they did in the marriage equality referendum in Northern Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland, excuse me. And they phoned around, and that was an interesting thing that happened there. But a lot of young people were involved in that referendum, as were involved in the referendum up in Scotland. So it's interesting, young people really get involved in referendums, less so in general elections, and even less so in European elections. Now, back on this side, yes.
Michaela Hines, Owen College. Do you think it was right that we were given the choice to have a referendum? Given the choice to vote in or out?
I think it's fine. It is what it is. It's happened. People, if you look at the big world of politics, people are always trying to get other people to do what they want them to do, and that, you know, the right wanted a referendum, and some other people didn't want a referendum and whatever, but it's happening. So it doesn't really matter. It's academic. But the good thing is young people are getting interested, looking at things, saying, I think this affects me. I think this affects me immediately. And so I think there's this positive thing coming out of it. We'll see what the scores on the doors are, as Bruce Forsyth would say, on the 23rd. Yeah, I just say it's happening, it's fine, let's go out there and let's all campaign our backsides off. If you're positive on Remain, campaign hard. If you want to leave, campaign less hard. You can relax. I'm sure there's some good programs on telly. Right, we've done all the...
Running quite tight on time now, so I'm going to ask a question from Twitter, and then possibly if you want to take sort of last couple of questions.
Yes, and this gentleman over here gets the last question then. So.
All right. So from Twitter, from Tanner Kafrika, the question is, Commonwealth citizens can vote in this referendum. Why should we vote to stay?
Why should the Commonwealth?
Yeah.
For humanity, above all. You know, I come back to that. It's the overriding one. You know, if I'm not quite sure how to argue to Commonwealth citizens who are living in here. I'm not quite sure how the rules are and how that was all worked out. But I'm not sure, you know, economy, good. If they're living here, then they want a good economy. We're going to have a bad economy if we pull out, so let's go with a good economy. Boom, that seems obvious. But above all, we're trying to do this because we're trying to reach out to everyone. We're trying to be positive. This is so hard. No continent's ever done it in the history of eternity. It just isn't. If you go to another planet, maybe, and they go, oh yeah, we tried it once. But we don't know of anyone. It's just us. There's gods, you know, if you believe in a God, then great. Then God maybe will come down and help. He would be on our side, I'm sure, if he did exist, because he cares about everyone. But he doesn't often come down and help. World War II, we were going, please, now's a good time. Just kick in at any point. It's a really tough time. I think it's up to human beings. And so I ask all human beings. I don't believe in a God, but I believe in us. I think there's more goodwill than ill in us. I believe in us. I think we're pretty good. And I've done things, and I've run some marathons, and people gave so much money, so much. And I've seen concerts where people have done it. And I think, you know, if we get us, we're pretty good when it comes to it. Not everyone, but the vast majority. So I hope. So Commonwealth students, I'd say, well, hi, and thank you for voting Remain on the 23rd of June for the sake of humanity. And this gentleman's question over, did you get the microphone? We need to give him many microphones. Give him 2 to make it really like a big one. If you had multiple microphones, then you could be like Mick Jagger on that free gig in Hyde Park back in the day. Anyway, sorry.
Hi, Simon Angelini, King's College, London. Do you think, as a lot of Brexiters have argued,
how did you get here?
I snuck in. It's fine. Do you agree with the Brexiter claim that this is a broader debate about the death of the nation state, and that this is really a debate over the role of the nation state in European politics for the next however long it will be?
I missed the beginning of say that once again.
A lot of Brexiters argue that this is a greater debate about the death of the nation state, and they say that, you know, the European project is about destroying the nation state. And I'm asking if you agree with that statement firstly, and if so, what the implications of it are, if it's a positive or a negative.
This refers back to, I'm going through ground that I feel that I've been through, but I will say it again. 87% of our laws are decided by us. 13%, 13% are decided by European Union. Only that. And it's when we all go there and decide those, because if we're trading amongst each other, we want everyone to be dealing on the same deal. Everyone have the same rules, so that no one can say, I don't have to do that. I can have beef that's less good than your beef, or however it is. So it's... I just feel that the UK government is here. We decide most of our laws, but we have signed up for a package where we get access to 500 million people in the European Union. That's a huge market. If we pull out, we're going to have to deal, we're going to have to pay tariffs to get in. Nigel Farage has agreed that. It's just going to make our economy worse. It's so much negative for the economy. Surely in the end, it's about the economy. The exact decisions that are made, we need to be making decisions at this level. If we're trying to deal with China, which is huge, we need to be dealing with inside the European Union. Outside, we will have much less of a voice. We will be less strong in the world. So I don't think the sovereignty is the way to look at it, because You could argue that until the cows come home, but the point is that what we're trying to do is a project where we sign up so that we are stronger in our economy and we do not go to war again. We only paid off World War II debt in 2006. 2006. That's a long time paying off debt. That was a debt came because somebody whipped up one country and it all broke down and it went back into the war. Second World War, the First World War, the Great War to end all wars, that didn't happen. It just went into World War II. You can never tell when the next thing's going to happen. You can never tell when a Milosevic is going to come on and stir people up. You just can't tell. So I say this is about humanity. This is about heading forwards. This is about reaching out with our hands to other people in European Union. It's our continent as well. It's everyone's continent. Reaching out and saying, hi, how are you? What do you do? I'm performing in French. You want to perform in English? I'll show you how to do it. You want German? You want to do it in English? I'll come and do it in Germany. I'll come and do it in Spain. That has got to be better than pulling back, putting up walls, and just looking over the walls. That's just not the way for humanity. We've got to be heading forwards. So I hear that argument, but yes, come back. A European first? No, I'm a British European, as you can see from my fingernails and my badges. As I've said, I'm proud to be British, I'm proud to be European. When England is playing a football match, all I want is for England to win every single football match from now to the end of time. That's all I ask. That's how patriotic I am about England. Now, when it comes to Team GB in the Olympics, all I want is for every gold medal we just get all the gold medals. No one else, we just get them all. That's all I want. And when it comes to the Ryder Cup, it's Europe against America, I want us to win all the Ryder Cups. That's how I go when it comes into sports. But I'm realistic, I'm positive, I'm a realistic idealist. You've got to realize I'm an idealist. I couldn't get this far being transgender without being an idealist. But I'm pretty fucking realistic because if I get into the streets and I have people shouting at me, I will push back. And I'm not a great fighter, but I will stand my ground. And I went to I support Crystal Palace. I just want Crystal Palace to win every game as well. But I went there, and I want Andy Murray to win every game. And, and I went to the FA Cup final, and it was Manchester United, and I looked like this, and I was wearing a Crystal Palace team shirt. And the Manchester United guys, because they knew me, they go, all right, Eddie. And then the Crystal Palace go, hey, Eddie. And one guy, and he was on our side. He was one of our Crystal Palace supporters. He said, you Izzard are a disgrace to the team for looking like you do and expressing it. And he just really nasty. Real hatred in his face. And I went, whoa. And I started going, yeah, you can't say that to me. Where's that coming from? And then all the Palace fans started going, hey, no, back down, mate. And he went kind of almost berserk. He went, come on, I'll fight you all. And it was really, and obviously I thought, my God, you're dealing with such problems in there, and you have externalized them onto me. And I thought, this is a very negative moment. But in fact, I thought, well, out of 70,000 people, only one screamed and hurled homophobic abuse at me. 69,999, we're okay with it. And I thought that was pretty good. We are gradually moving forward. We go backwards, a few steps backwards, but we keep heading forwards. So I think whatever the arguments, whatever the number crunching, let us keep going forwards. Let's keep putting hope into the world. Thank you.
Should we